All right, hello. This video, the goal of it is that we're going to spend about 1 hour to try and get to the point where we can summarize a single YouTube video. How I'm going to do that is going to break it down into a couple of different pieces. The first part is making sure that we can actually download a YouTube video, then make sure we're extracting only the audio from it in that step, and then taking the audio, converting that to text, which would be step 2. Step 3 then would be taking that text and running it through a few different libraries here to go through it and just get a transcription of the video and make sure that we can convert audio into text. And then from there, we'll do some things just to try and improve the performance if we have some time left. But those are basically the 4 key steps to this. Oh, and then the 5th last step is just making sure that we can output it somewhere. So that's pretty straightforward. You just save the text that you generate to a file really anywhere. In this case, I'm going to put it just on my computer here. But what I'll do is after this, I will share out a Google Colab notebook, which will have all the steps that we put together here in it. So again, the first step is downloading the YouTube audio, then taking that audio, converting it into text, taking the text and generating a summary of that transcript, and then outputting it to a local file. And if we get time, we'll do some improvements. So let's get right into it. These are some of the libraries that you will need here. Transformers provides a lot of the models from Hugging Face directly into Python so that everything is running locally. You don't need to call out to any LLM or anything like that. You're doing everything with the resources that are on your computer. The PyPDF I was using as a test to just make sure that I could download or take text and convert it into a summary. So I was taking books, PDF versions of books here and doing that, but I'm going to leave it in just in case you'd like to do that as well. A line chain text splitter is how we're going to break those large parts of text down into smaller pieces, so that way they can be analyzed. Then this is the YouTube downloader in Python. So it's just abbreviated as YTDLP. OpenAI Whisper is how I'm going to be able to convert the audio to text. Whisper is a transcriber model that's available via OpenAI. There is a version of it in Python that we can install. Flask here would be something that I could use in the future to host it. Ideally, we can get to that point where I can put it out as an app. We may not get to it today. I'm not expecting to get to it in the hour, but it's still here. And then the last part here is if I wanted to actually, in Python, save these transcripts to Google, we have that option. So depending on progress, these last 2 may be used, but the goal is to try and get as far as we can in that first hour. Right now, we're about 3 minutes in just from describing everything. So let's get started. Now, I should have all these already installed on my computer here, but this is so that way when you're on the Google Colab notebook, you can just pull these in here. Perfect. Yeah, it's showing that everything's already satisfied. Then I have those. It's still going to go through a few more. But then we need a number of packages from these. And I'm going to also specify my directory with these next steps. So from transformers and the line chain text splitter, I need these. I'm also going to need these functions. This is regex. This is the giving it access to your operating system and the paths there from OpenAI. Maybe Whisper. Spell it correctly. I'm going to use pandas for some and NumPy for some of the data manipulation that is going to happen here. And then, like I said, I'm going to specify the directory. Specifically, this is for my computer. in the notebook that I'll share out, because it will automatically save to your Colab notebooks. You won't need this. It basically gives you a default directory to work from. So we have those. Great. From this is where I'm going to begin to download the YouTube video. So we're not actually going to get out the video itself. We're just simply going to get the audio from it. That's this URL here. And then we need DLP underscore. And this should be YouTube DL. And then I'm going to pull in some boilerplate here. Not boilerplate, but these are the specific options that I had already put together, and I'll give an explanation on these. So this is making sure we only get the audio from it. And then it's going to output it as an Opus file. That's the best format to pass it to the OpenAI Whisper with. So that should go that way. Wide. Oh. And then I'm specifying the format here for this to go out as. So this is going to say title space and then the ID and then the extension here, which would be the Opus. Then we need to call that YouTube DL. What I'm going to do here is we are just trying to get the information out. Use that URL that was specified before. We are then going to enable downloading, so that way it will pull us back. And then we just need to return the information here. So I want to make sure that I get the get title. From here, then the space info dot get. This is the ID and dot opus. I want to make sure that this is clean. It looks fine. And then again, this opus is just what we had specified from before. If I wanted to parameterize it out, I could still use the extension here, just choosing not to do that. It seems like it's going to run. Then I have a video here from earlier that I want to try and make sure that I can download. So let's see if we can do that. YouTube DL. Attribute is enter. Oh, I know what it is. I forgot to pass the options to it that we had specified before, so it doesn't know really what to do. There we go. It's going to go through. It's going to pull it back. You'll see it's relatively small. This is like a 20-minute video, but pulling the audio only from it is about 20 megabytes. So great. So let's put a section in here. Download YouTube audio. This next section. So that's basically the first part already complete. The second is then convert the audio to text. We said we're going to use the Whisper model to this. So let's take that there. We're going to tell it where that file is. And then it's actually very quick to do this. Just specify the model. That is, we had imported Whisper before. We're going to then load that model. Just going to use the base version of it. It really covers more than enough for what we need here. So that way the model doesn't get too large because we're running everything locally. It will take a bit of time the larger the model that you give it to it. And given that I'm doing this on CPU only, it will be slower. I do have an option to enable GPU, but I did not finish getting that set up before going live here. That's kind of what I was trying to hold off for, but it wasn't fully set up and installed. So we're going to kind of go forward with that, and then I'll take care of that offline. Next time we go live, we can compare the side-by-side progress. So I'm going to take this transcribe model here, and then I'm going to tell it to transcribe the audio file, which should be this file location that we specified here. And then I'm going to pass it a couple of extra parameters just to tell it to not make any guesses, just tell me exactly what you're hearing. That's what temperature 1 means. It's saying, like, give it 100% to only what you're hearing. Don't try and infer anything. And then I'm going to tell it the language of the videos, which helps it to be more specific in the languages that it's trying to pull from. Makes it a little bit easier for the model, so it doesn't have to try and guess as much. It's looking now for English words by doing it this way. And then FP16, this is the part where I was saying I was trying to get the GPU set up so that way we could set this to true. But for now, we have to leave it as false because we are running on the CPU. Same thing here for when you are using the Google Colab notebook. For the most part, you will only have CPU. You can enable GPU on it, but that's a whole nother process that I won't really cover here today. We're just trying to keep on this path. So this last part here then says, once you've transcribed the video, give me just the text back, so I don't need a whole bunch of additional information. And it's pretty simple. That's like the 3 lines there just to transcribe it, but that's because most of the heavy lifting here is being done by Whisper. So if I real quick just see what's in that audio file variable. Great, this is now the file location. So then if I say, let's just call this video text, I'm then going to transcribe audio to text, and I'm going to tell it to use audio file as that piece of information. Now this will take a moment, but we will let it run, and then I'm simply going to output it. While that's running, we're gonna begin to set up the next step here, and that would be we have audio. We have the audio downloaded from YouTube. We are then going to convert that into text, and now we need to build something to do the text transcription. So right now we're about 15 minutes in from the beginning of this video here, and we are already through the first 2 steps where we were able to download a video. It's currently running the text audio, and we will use this time to set up the next step, which will be actually taking that text and making a summary of it so it's not so bulky and large. So just going to take a quick moment here and check on the chats. There's nothing here, which is fine. We're going to go through and we're going to now tell this to summarize the video. How I'm going to do that is I'm going to use, this is BART, which is a open model from Facebook. And there's a couple pieces that are going to do it. So the first step is to generate the text summary. And you want to give a text to do that. There's basically 5 lines here that will handle it, and then the last line will be providing the information from the function. Oh, sorry. So there's 5 lines here. The last part will be taking the text and then being able to provide it back so that way we can store it. So the first part here is I want to tell it to tokenize it, which is transforming the words into the numbers that the model needs. And that is simply done using BART tokenizer. And we are specifying exactly which version to use, which I am going to use the, I want to call it the most basic version of the model. This one, it has a little bit more words in the corpus than the base. This is the large convolutional neural network, which is why it's got the name of BART-large-CNN. That's the tokenizer, and then we are going to use the for conditional generation. Guess what? It's that same model. So the same thing can be used multiple times. Here we're using it to convert to the tokenizer, and then we're saying, well, you're already familiar with what those tokens are. Can you now use that to generate a summary for me? Now I need to, now that those have been set up, I need to actually use those. So this is the time where I'm going to use the tokenizer. I'm going to encode what I'm encountering, which is the text that we're providing it. This does have max length limitations of 1024, so I'm just specifying that. And then if we do hit that limit, just cut it off. And then because we plan to use this, because we plan to use the tokens in the BART model, we're going to return the tensors, which should then automatically make that so that we can just pass it into the next step. So to do that, we're going to generate the summary. We're now going to use that BART model that we had set up. We're going to give it the text input, which we defined in the row before this. And now I'm telling it that if you're generating the summary, it can only be, has to be at least 50 words from that 1,000-word chunk, and then it can be up to 800 in terms of the summarization. And then we need to then decode, using that same tokenizer, what it gets from the new summary. So decode, we're going to pass it to summary and then a text from it, which is the first part here. If it encountered any special tokens along the way, we're going to try and weed those out now. And then the last step here is that return where we're just giving back what we got from the original model. Now this will take a little bit, but we do want to, what did we call this before? Video text. So now we're going to call this video summary. and I want to use this generate text summary. And I want to give it video text. Let me just double check that is what I told it called before. Sure. And you can see here, like it's about 20-minute video in total, and it ends up being quite long. So the idea here is it's going to break it into 1,000-word pieces, and then we're actually going to make summaries that are shorter than that. So BART for conditional typo. Turn tensors. Another small typo getting me in here. All right. This will take a little while to run because it's going to go through and do that. It has to take it through the encoding, decoding text. Text summary. Okay. So there we go. It was already trying to do the give the information back for me, which is great because this is all running locally on a computer. This laptop only has 1,200 gigabytes of RAM for the most part. Just operating it itself is about 6 gigabytes with the notebook running. When it runs through this, it's going to peak up all the way up to that 12. So it's not necessarily a powerful machine. I think the collab that you get from Google is very similar. I think that one's 12 gigabytes as well. And you don't really need much more. You can see here, it's pretty quick in generating the summary here. And let's just look at it. Okay, so gotcha. Yeah, it took the first 1,000 characters, which is why it ran so quickly, and then saying, give me only that part. There are ways to improve this. The way to do that is called chunking. What you'll do is now, instead of giving it all the text all at once, you'll break those into pieces, and then you'll try and do that same process. So starting from here, you need to make a couple small changes. So to do that, we're going to generate chunks and then summarize. And we want to pass it the text. So now we're going to use the LangChain text splitter that we had, or that I discussed a little bit earlier. This is what it's going to be doing. Recursive text splitter. I think it's recursive character text splitter. And then from what I'm specifying here is I'm saying every 1,000 words stop and break it at that 1,000th character. But then also the overlap is go back a little bit for the next one. So that way we can get better coverage of all the words that are going to be here. And 200 is fine. You're talking about 20% overlap on both sides. So you're overlapping about 40% of the text. You will get some duplicates, but we can always come back and work on removing those duplicates. And that's what we had, or that's why I said, like, if we have time at the end, we can do some more optimizations. But right now we're about the 25-minute mark. We are able to generate a very brief summary of the video of that first 1,000 characters, or for 1,000 words. But now we're going to work on doing it so we can cover the entirety of the video. We're making great progress for 25-ish minutes into where we're at. I'll just take a moment real quick, check. Yeah, there's nobody on the chat here, so we'll just keep going. So then text splitter. Split the text. Give it the text here. And then I want a holder for these. And then for chunk in these text chunks, I'm going to run through and append to these chunk summaries. I want to pass in the chunk to each of these. Now this will take a little bit longer to run. So we're now going to take this whole process, but we're going to use the video text from before. So video summary full. We are then going to generate chunks, then summarize. And we're going to do that on the video text here. This will take longer to run because it's going to go through, it's going to split the video into pieces. So now instead of automatically cutting off, when I hit that 1024th word, at 1,000 words, it will break. It will then start the next one at word number 800, go to 1800, break. Same thing for the next one, go to 1600 to 2600, break, and over again until it gets to the end of it. And then we're taking each one of those breaks are broken off chunks. We are then running through the text summarizer part. So it will run those a few times over. The first one we had seen took about a minute to run for a chunk. I imagine we'll probably have about 10 to 15 of those that will run. So it'll be running for a little bit of time to get those, but there are some things that we can continue doing on this. So I'm going to check the chats real quick, see if anybody has anything here. Definitely does not seem to be the case. So then the last section that I had talked about for being able to complete this in the 1 hour time frame is to write the summary to your computer. This is a lot easier than you think because this can almost be done by default with Python. You just write to file. Now you want to tell it where exactly you want that file to go to, and then the actual text that will go into that. And then you're going to tell it to go to that location. We're going to let it write information to there. And then put it there. And make sure you close it out and you're done. And the last thing is write to file. I'm going to call it video summary text txt. And the information that I want to pass it to is this video summary full. Gotcha. So because I'm passing it a list and not a string, that is part of what it's doing. So I can just add a helper here. Combine list to string. Simply going to give it the text and then return. Taking advantage of Python functions here, the text. What this is doing is join iterates across a list here. I'm telling it to put one space between each of them. So it'll have the sentence of, let's say the dog is going to the park. The next sentence is to play with friends. Then it would say the dog is going to the park, add a space, to play with friends. And then we'll go here. And then I can just simply wrap this around the video summary full. Boom. And I'll put it to my computer. Let's see here. It's a video summary, not very long. But yeah, looking at the title of the video, it was talking about like the worst mistakes, or worst financial mistakes that he could make, and then offering advice there as well. And we get that here. There's talks about articles that he sees, but we took just about over 30 minutes to actually put this together, where we are taking advantage of models that are accessible on your computer. You don't need to make calls out to ChatGPT or Anthropic or anything like that. You can do everything here locally. And considering this is about 20 minutes video, it gets there very quickly, and it's a very basic. You can see there's some things here that we can improve upon. This is not really a word here, and we can do some cleanup on that. Yeah, just looking over the summary here. Really not a whole lot, but we can just check the chat real quick, kind of timestamp this here. So I'll just say objective complete. We built a process, summarized 20-minute video, and live says we're at the 33-minute mark. Let's just say 32 minutes total. And that in itself is pretty great. What I'll do here is I'll also work on putting this into Google Colab Notebook. So I'll just save this. So I literally generated the notebook 40 minutes ago, just before it came on live here. If you're running this, it will take a few minutes to go through here and install these, because it does have to download the models here. The BART model, I want to say it was about 2 gigabytes. And then the Whisper model itself was about 3 gigabytes. So if you're running those, it will take a little bit to download, but nothing that would take too long. On all, you're talking about 5 gigabytes of data. So depending on your connection, that would determine the time there. And then, we were building while this was going on. So we took a 20-minute video and did that. if anybody sees this, they can always share the like the YouTube link, like this URL here, for a video you'd like summarized, and then I can go ahead and run it for you if you can't run this yourself, to get that for you. So we hit the big objectives that we wanted to get here in under an hour. It took about 30 minutes. We're going to work on adding a few things to improve upon this. I did want to take a look over this. And just kind of read it over and make sure that what we've got. Did seem to do a really good job of summarizing things. One of the things I could experiment with is I set there was like a 50 word minimum for the output here. So as much as you can, it's going to try and make it as short as it can. And maybe we lost some information in doing this. So I'm actually going to go back. I'm going to ask it to do it again, but do it at 100 words minimum. And it should just about double the amount of text that we get out at the end, because now we're going from that 50 minimum to 100, but not too much. And it'll run through. Like I said, it'll take a few moments. Oh, I shouldn't have ran on this first one, because it's only going to be the beginning part of the video, but this part here. And this part of what we talked about with just optimizing here is maybe 50 was too short, so we'll try 100. Theoretically, you could do a bunch of experiments here on the different sizes, and it may vary from video to video as well. But using that as a way to kind of improve what we get here. So that was the first chunk. This was a little bit different than before. Yeah, it was a little bit shorter, so I didn't mention anything about Charlie Munger here, but we'll see what it does when it gets to the. Oh, sorry. It's now going to go across the full transcript instead of like the first 1,000 words. And there was something that I had seen before with what was in there, and it was like it gave me kind of some incomplete sentences along the way. So we can handle that as well here while we have some time. So I'll just put in another section. I'll go through and we want to say remove incomplete sentences. And this process can be actually really basic, but also really quick, because it's just going to do some regex matching. So I'm going to put together sentence here is complete sentence. I want to make sure I am passing in sentences. So there's a few things here that we can do. The first thing is literally just checking, is that first character that it's encountering upper? And then checking the end to see, does it actually end in punctuation? So exclamation, question. Let's say quotation. I don't really think it's there. And sorry. That means like anything like an ellipsis here at the end, like the 3 periods, because that will come through as one. The last character will be the period, and those are covered here as well. So if it's in those, then that is not a complete sentence. Then can also do it where it's just very basic, but I'm going to split it. Splitting by default works off of the spaces between the sentences. And then if that is the case, that's also not a sentence, so we don't want to keep that. So the first part is seeing if there, and then we need to then filter out the incomplete sentences. Just gonna go through the sentences here. Theoretically, this is just like the text that we had from before. So complete sentences, put that here. This is going to be a bit of a convoluted, but very efficient in terms of space chain that I'm putting together here. And as soon as I finish writing this out, I'll explain what that means. So what it's saying is for each sentence here, it's going to run through its complete sentence. If this comes back as the true, it will then add it to this list. If it returns false, it's just going to skip it. And that's how we're dropping them out of the sentences that are here. And then I can actually lift this up from here. And now that we have those pieces, I'm going to put it all as part of a larger function so that we can run everything all at once. And the idea here is that we are going through that same process. So then the completed sentences is going to be then filter incomplete sentences. Get the text. The cleaned up text will then be combining those sentences at the end. Turn clean text. So this way, just so it's consistent across the function here. Then I don't need to do that. Now I'm going to take this. I'm going to say the output text equals what did I call this? Remove incomplete sentences. You get video text full. Again, because this is regex, it's going to run really fast. Combine sentences is not defined. Oh, combine was to string. But just that fast was already at the end, and you can see here, because again, we're using some basic regex and a list comprehension. It's going to run lightning fast, regardless of the size of what you have there. Now, if I take this, we're going to call this oops, text. I do want to make sure I close out that. And the same process. Now we've got updated video summary. Let's see here. I open this in a way and share it out. I'm just waiting for it to load. It's super slow. Perfect. And it looks like it put strings in between each word along the way. Oh, yeah, because I did it twice. I need to remove this. Well, there we go. Let's see this updates here. Perfect, and I can show it. And so there we go. So that's a 20-minute video. You're going to essentially get the highlights of the video here. It took us, we're about 45 minutes in from the beginning of everything that we had done. That's kind of really those basic 4 steps to get a video summary here. The first one was just actually downloading the audio from YouTube, then taking the audio and converting it to text, then running through and summarizing it. And then the last part of actually writing it to your local computer. Added some additional stuff here to just remove incomplete sentences, because sometimes when it did the chunk, it looks like it had generated part of the sentence, or maybe it was part of just it didn't fully transcribe a sentence, or it decided only part of it was important. But removing those out and just just some basic regex for that side of things. So just kind of looking over the text that we have here. It is a personal finance video. You can call it like life financial advice type of information here, but 30 minutes to build it out, another 10 minutes to just add some additional functionality while it ran. All in all, that's, I think, pretty impressive. And this is all done locally. You don't need to use ChatGPT or anything like this. There are more places that you could go from here if you wanted to, and I'll do some of this, get it set so we can run through it next time. Just saying, maybe I'm only interested in certain topics, try and only filter for those topics. Another thing too is looking through somebody's channel. So instead of providing it a URL, go to somebody's channel and get their best performing videos, and then run through this same summarization process here. So this only took a couple minutes to actually run through the process here. Pick a popular channel that would have a good amount of information on it. Take maybe their top 3 or 5 videos, and then pull those together. And I think that'll be our goal for next time. The idea here is to kind of make these short and sweet, but straight to the point. and then I'll share out the code for these afterwards. You can also always just ask me, provide a URL for a YouTube video, and I can run it through for you and tell you what it generated if you're not able to run Python locally. So for those of you who popped in, thank you for watching. And then if you have any future questions, these videos will all be up on YouTube. Feel free to leave a comment, like I said, with the URL of a video. We'll try and find it. And then I'll leave like a text file or something for you that can be shared. And maybe Google Doc, do it that way. So that way you can get that summarization. So thanks for coming, and y'all have a great night.